Welcome. Today I'll be answering the questions that I often receive, as well as some interesting topics regarding starseeds, the Ascension journey, our soul's calling, twin flames, divine feminines, and divine masculines. Always feel free to ask more questions, considering that I might not be able to answer right away. It's honestly very heartwarming to see so many people seeking ways to dive deeper into themselves. To see them feeling drawn to tools like astrology, not for a need to control their reality, but for a deeper knowledge of human behavior, our desires, our subconscious, and our soul blueprints. The planets don't write our story, they resonate with our energy and work to bring us the life we subconsciously believe in. We live inside a co-creation, and yet, we only navigate energies that match our own. The outer reality works as a mirror for our inner world, and there is no bigger mirror than our own twin flame. A birth chart, for example, allows us to analyze how we are made of all signs, all planets, all asteroids, and much more. Sure, we all have aspects of ourselves that are more active and others dormant or even suppressed. But the goal is to connect with and explore as many parts of ourselves as possible. At that point, our birth charts have fulfilled their purpose. When we fully integrate the lessons all signs and planets have to bring, there is no need to keep reincarnating into another similar wheel, and another, and another. At this point, 3D catalytic experiences are no longer necessary. Which leads to the most popular question. What does 3D to 5D mean? We are inside the toughest known planetary school in our current universe. The third density is known for being the most uncomfortable of all 7 densities. It brings shorter lifespans, filled with extra challenges and catalytic moments. Considering this, Earth still manages to be the hardest among the current 3D schools. The third density is based upon polarity. Usually the goal is to explore both the positive and the negative polarities on a neutral ground, until the day the soul decides to embrace one, a choice that needs to come from free will. Earth is unique since it was overtaken by the negative polarity as a way to manipulate students into believing the negative is the only path to success, when it's very much the opposite. Well over 90% of all living beings in the universe opt for the positive path, choosing harmony over chaos. So, what are the 144,000 twin flames? The waves of volunteers, the starseeds. We are beings that volunteer to reincarnate back into the 3D, to aid Earth and her residents, even though we were already way ahead on our soul journey. Why not just travel here instead of having to die and reincarnate, losing all of our memories and natural abilities? Because that wasn't an option at the time. The universe has rules, laws, just like human society does. If younger souls could easily see and visit the advanced societies, they wouldn't go through a part of their creative growth that is essential. They would easily copy everything or become codependent on receiving help. Therefore, they are watched over from afar, cared for behind the background, but without visible interference. What the negative polarity did is a massive infringement of all applicable laws, but let's not focus on that. Everything I just said might change in the coming years, since these rules don't apply to the 4th density, where Earth is now entering. Most people call it the 5th dimension, the 5D. There are 7 densities, like the chakras, but each has several dimensions. What are twin flames? A twin flame relationship is an intense soul connection between 2 souls that deeply mirror each other. Many twin flames present here at this current time period aspire to be specialized in empowering people, raising self-esteem, building relationships, improving childcare, education, as well as family dynamics and romance. For the majority, even their soul's calling is about the topic of relationships and raising children, their protection, and education. Above all, we embody the energies of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, aiming to inspire others to balance these energies within themselves. I've heard as well of solo twin flames, which means one is here, incarnated, while the other watches over and helps from the higher realms as a spirit guide. What are divine feminines and divine masculines? They are types of energy that occur in all beings, including ourselves. The biggest lesson on the third density planets is to become acquainted to them. For the positive path, they need to be balanced and in harmony within ourselves. For the negative path, they must be taken into their toxic extremes. Therefore, since twin flames are teachers of the positive path, it's easier to show these energies instead of just talking about them. One twin flame is the embodiment of divine masculinity, and the other divine femininity, regardless of gender. Once we are far ahead in our healing journey, the energies become balanced within ourselves, but the personality, daily habits, and appearance instinctively lean towards one of these energies, since it aids in teaching them to the collective. The easiest way to explain both is that the divine masculine is the energy of the conscious mind, our current society, and knowledge, while the divine feminine is the energy of the beyond, the subconscious mind, the rest of the universe. Therefore, one is more practical and necessary for leveling up and achieving success, while the other one helps us wake up, heal, and expand our horizons. One represents the past, the other one the future. In the middle is the present moment, representing perfect balance. I have videos that explain both these energies in much greater detail, along with subliminal music to strengthen and balance them. Why is the twin flame journey so hard? What is common for the majority of starseeds is that the first part of our work here was to be born into some of the worst family bloodlines and environments. As we heal and evolve, everyone linked to the same bloodline feels pressure to do the same. This is why so many of us felt disdain for everything we did, or even just for existing. This was the only way to end stagnate these energies and bring some light into their darkness before they enter into 5D. Our mere existence changed them forever, let alone the actions we took. Many of us didn't make it through, and I'm very grateful to be here sharing this message today. However, there are also starseeds here just for fun and curiosity. Every effort helps the big picture. Each story was tailor-made for the path we came here to take. We couldn't possibly help heal the collective if we didn't experience similar situations. We are often misled to believe that, to help the collective, we need to focus outwards. But the truth is that inner work, our own healing, has a sort of butterfly effect throughout reality. Both inner and outer work have massive influences. One day we'll truly be aware of the impact our stay here brought to the society. Believing we accomplished little to nothing is simply not the case, and it's even impossible. This is why the twin flame journey is so hard, and why certain situations such as toxic partners, infidelity, third parties, codependency, narcissism, non-commitment, abusive marriages, child custody battles, among others, are so common for all twins. How could we possibly help mend relationships if we didn't deeply comprehend them? How could people relate to us if we had nothing relatable to share with them? I will now answer the most common twin flame related questions that I have observed during my time within this community. Am I a twin flame expert? No, there's no such thing at the time being. This is still a new topic, and I wouldn't put my trust on most people actively claiming to be one. I am a divine feminine on the twin flame journey, and the biggest part of my work in this incarnation is to provide knowledge, be it my insight on how the universe works, or how to make the best guacamole ever. Knowledge is ever evolving. This is what I know at the current moment, through intuition, clairvoyance, and what my guides share with me. What is claircognizance? Are psychic abilities real? Claircognizance, or clear knowing, is the ability to suddenly know things without any previous knowledge on a subject. The best example I can provide was the time I created a pair of pants from scratch during my first sewing class. At the time, I assure you my current incarnation couldn't possibly know how to pattern and sew pants. I was in the zone, a term usually used by athletes, and it just happened. Unfortunately, it doesn't always happen when we want it to happen. It's usually random. Otherwise, I would love casinos. There are plenty of psychic abilities besides the one I already mentioned. At the moment, I'm only training in clairvoyance, divination, precognition, psychic empathy, and telepathy. Most psychic skills are easier for the divine feminines, but the divine masculines are most definitely capable of them as well. Everyone can, it just requires dedication and training. One day they'll be as common as the ability to learn how to sing. How do I know if I am a twin flame? If you are here listening to me so far into this video, you probably are a starseed. Otherwise you wouldn't even take me seriously. Your ego wouldn't allow it. As for being specifically a twin flame, here are some questions for you. From an early age, were you able to perceive that there's something seriously wrong in how relationships, quote-unquote, work in our society? Did you apply serious efforts and large amounts of time into researching how to build relationships and comprehend the human mind, be it for friendships, career, family, or romance? Instead of shows and movies about drama, did you feel drawn to content about people overcoming obstacles and developing strong bonds? When I say the word narcissist, do you actually know what I'm talking about? And could you write an entire book on the topic? If you know astrology, did you notice your Venus, the planet of relationships and romance, has a prominent influence on your birth chart? Did you go from zero to hero when it comes to communication and empathy? For example, as you grew up, you went from not knowing how to even speak to people to becoming the center of attention or the voice of reason, maybe even a spokesperson or an influencer. Do people come to you for advice out of nowhere, especially regarding love, family, and friendship? Did you always take the care, education, and protection of children very seriously, to the point of actually doing something about it, or at least planning to do it? Did you always have the feeling that the challenges you were going through would one day help many people overcome similar situations? Do you intend on listening to this entire video? That is the biggest sign of all. How do I know who my twin flame is? Twin flames are catalysts for growth due to their ability to mirror both our light and shadow aspects. Therefore, the easiest way to uncover the identity of a twin flame is to consider if someone very special to us accidentally led us to a series of events that shook off the illusions in our life. Not necessarily directly, and usually not on purpose. But after they showed up, everything that was fake began to fall off. For many, it might have led to a spiritual awakening or the dark night of the soul. They are magnetic and their energy feels like home. There will be a very strong bond and kinship between the two of you. But being around a catalyst can be very intense, especially when we don't comprehend what is happening. It's like constantly being confronted by ourselves, namely our inner personalities that we may wish to keep locked away in the depths of our psyche. These can be our shadow sides, but also the best of us. We tend to keep them safe and protected, like our inner child. It can be incredibly challenging, but it's facilitating major growth for both. This is why twin flame union comes when both counterparts have reached a certain mastery regarding inner healing, as well as being aligned and actively working on their soul's calling. They often meet before that, but during that time, the universe always comes up with creative ways to keep them interested in each other but far away from the other. Is my twin flame half of my soul? As far as I know, we are couples that have been in union for millions of years or more. Keep in mind, reincarnation is different on the other densities. Lifespans are much larger, and we don't lose our memories from past lives. That's something unique to third density incarnations. Even here on Earth, it's possible to observe that anything that spends plenty of time together tends to start to become similar. Even pets start to behave like their caretakers. Now imagine relationships that last millions of years. Twin flames are very similar and yet very unique from each other. They can come from the same soul family, soul branch, making them even more similar, but I doubt that the ones that come from different branches wouldn't be known as twin flames. Think Romeo and Juliet. Who cares that one is a Montague and the other one is a Capulet? All soul branches come from the one original source. Why can't I stop thinking about my twin flame? Did they put a spell on me? I see them everywhere. This is weird. Make it stop! Well, I sure hope they didn't. Divine feminines do tend to be drawn to magic. Many of them might not have realized it can lead to karma and chaos, especially if they don't consider free will. Twin flames came here to experience all these functions in relationships, outgrow them, heal from them, and share what they learned with the collective. Black magic is something plaguing the collective for centuries, even now in modern days, updated with the use of technology. Therefore, many divine feminines might have come here to go through that phase, outgrow it, and bring it to the light. Magic is a neutral tool. It can be used appropriately or selfishly, for service to others or service to self. However, telepathy is normal for twins since instruments like smartphones aren't commonly used in the higher densities. Telepathy is the default communication method there. It's very common for twins to think they are going crazy, but telepathy is perfectly normal. In fact, it's also very common among starseeds in general. Imagine two divine feminines that meet. They will also feel the mental bond and may have dreams about each other. Ironically, from my experience, telepathy is actually very similar to a smartphone. Just don't answer the call. Literally, imagine in your mind the red button and press it. Twin flames are often like a grandmother that never used a smartphone and suddenly got one for Christmas. She's now pocket calling everyone without knowing it, or calling 6 times in a row just to say, hello. The songs on the radio feel like they are talking to me. Things that remind me of my twin suddenly pop up. What is this? That is usually not something done by your twin, but by your own spiritual guidance team. Divine masculines are usually more rooted with society. They tend to have trouble believing in anything they cannot see. Therefore, their own spirit team might have to be more creative on how to get their attention and get them to wake up to the spiritual side of the connection between both twins. The same can happen to divine feminines that are not aware they have a spirit team and a soul calling. What is a spiritual guidance team? Everyone has one, but for starseeds they are more numerous and their actions are far more visible. They are guardian angels, spirit guides, ancestors, sometimes even our living family from the higher realms or local positive entities. People would be amazed at the amount of work that happens on the background of our lives. Let's consider the difference between a spirit team of a narcissist and one of a twin flame. In the first example, they will respect the person's free will to explore the negative polarity and allow him to be surrounded by negative entities instead. In that case, they will only come if their presence is required and solicited. If not, they will go on with their lives and tasks. Ethereal beings have lifestyles and things to do, just like us. For a twin flame, they will be more numerous and more active into assuring the soul contract the twins signed up for will go as smoothly as possible, often crafting the path for us. For example, arranging job opportunities that will get us plenty of leadership experience. Their personality will often match the personality of the twin. They can be humorous, kind, serious, meticulous, even blunt or rebellious. They have rules to follow, therefore they can't just pop up and say hello. However, if we actively seek them out and engage with them, they will start to become more and more obvious. They need our free will in order to help us with our personal requests, so by all means, ask for help whenever it is needed. Just don't overdo it, and avoid being rude or ungrateful. They're allowed to pull pranks and teach lessons. Everything they do is always aligned with your highest good, or not. Is the twin flame dogma a soul trap? Many people become obsessed over someone because of this stuff. We live on a planet that was overrun with the negative polarity. What they do is invert everything. If twin flames are here to teach healthy long-term relationships, rooted on respecting free will and mutual never-ending growth, they created their own toxic version based on obsession, manipulating free will, and encouraging stagnation. But as usual, it backfired on them because it inspired people to question what a healthy relationship truly is. Which is why we are here. We are here as teachers, mentors, guides. Even our romantic story on Earth happened for the greater good of the collective. It's all for the collective. To help society conceptualize healthier relationships, family dynamics, and new educational systems, as well as using the knowledge acquired during our healing journeys to provide it in creative ways to anyone recovering from similar experiences. It's up to us to stay aligned with our own moral values and guide people that genuinely want to be guided towards self-love and healing. When someone says, "I want a twin flame," they aren't usually saying, "I want to be a guiding light to the collective." They are saying, "I want a long-term relationship with someone that truly loves me for me." And that's what we are here to help them do, each of us in our special and unique way. Doesn't matter if a long-term relationship has 8 years or 8 million years. All twin flames and soulmates started somewhere. Are tarot readings a bad thing? They can be very addictive. Why are twin flames so associated with tarot? They can be harmful if taken too seriously or if they turn into an addiction. It's like cake. Eating a slice here and there is a joyous part of life. But having cake all day long, every day, is too much. It's damaging to our health. Keeping in mind, free will is sovereign. Also, desserts can be healthy, which is the equivalent to introspective readings, when they are focused on learning more about ourselves and our path ahead, connecting to our spirit guides, or even on how to navigate relationships with healthier perspectives we never considered before. Tarot is no more than a universal language, no different from sign language or English. Many divine feminines feel drawn to it, since it's a very useful tool to communicate with our spiritual guidance team, as well as for training our intuition, along with many other psychic abilities. I feel I'm very far into my healing journey and actively working on what I feel is my calling. Why am I still not in union? Am I doing something wrong? Absolutely not. Twin flames are two separate people. One can succeed, while the other one can stay lost in the web of the matrix, stuck in the energies inherited to them and what they now believe to be their duties, instead of moving on and healing. When this is the case, they will not be able to see the big picture, and they have the free will to do so. It's not advisable to wait for our twin to return. There is divine timing at hand, We are immortal souls having a temporary human experience, using our time here to live, help, and explore as much as we possibly can, be it alone or with other soulmates on our side, will be more nurturing for our soul and actually increase the chances of reunion. Why is it so common for divine masculines to be stuck on karmic marriages or in third party situations? For many centuries, the seventh house of the collective was ruled by Virgo. The seventh house is the house of marriage, soul contracts, and all types of partnerships. Obviously, there is nothing wrong with Virgo. In fact, most of my planets, including the Sun, are in Virgo. Everything has light and shadow sides. Virgo, for many centuries, turned marriages into exchanges of services. You are useful to me, and I am functional to you. You know? Mostly regarding financial security, social appearance, and status, land ownership, or just fulfilling basic needs. This includes both the medieval periods and the past years. We are now entering a new phase with Leo as the new seventh house ruler, the sign of independence, confidence, fun, romance, and passion. Out of all, this is the sign that has the deepest connection to divine masculinity. It's the opposite of what it was. People will enter committed relationships not because they need it, but because they truly desire it. They will see their partner as their queen or their king, a power couple. This is not something that will happen overnight. These are energies that flow for centuries. Many divine masculines actually sign soul contracts with karmic partners to learn from that experience, outgrow it, exit without causing too much damage, heal, and then help others see that this toxic relationship style simply doesn't work and no longer makes any sense. In most cases, their guidance team ensures that they can't be with their divine counterpart until they get it right. No third parties, no lies, no injustices. The same applies to the divine feminines. They're often guided to avoid waiting for partners that are emotionally or socially unavailable. Third parties can also be other factors, like jobs that are too demanding, or certain religious factors. These are issues binding mankind for centuries, and we came here to help untangle them and teach better lifestyles. The goal is for both counterparts to learn to be independent, to avoid undesirable relationships, to be living their best lives on their own, comfortable with their own company and life path. And only after having this normalized to them would they then possibly come into a healthy union or another genuinely compatible long-term relationship. Even if they don't share what they learn with the collective, the healing done through the journey helps undo global karma. Is my twin flame my mirror? Usually, it's like a yin-yang. What is an active part of one's personality is what the other hides away in the depths of their subconscious, be it a shadow or a side of us that we wish to protect, like our inner child. If one had no choice but to be very quiet and silent as they grew up, the other twin might be loud and chatty. This is done as a way to promote unconditional love. If it's lovable on them, it shows us that it can be loved on us as well. Twins often mirror some aspects that are deeply similar, and others that are exactly the opposite, as a way to be a catalyst for healing and growth in a relationship. Why are long periods of separation with barely any communication so common? Usually twins will meet each other and then something will happen to separate them, sometimes for several years or even one lifetime. This first meeting is known for triggering an accelerated development towards healing and leveling up, sometimes even spiritual awakenings. The twin flame journey often brings up emotional wounds that have been locked away on the depths of our unconscious mind. For the majority, a separation is necessary, otherwise both twins will just keep triggering each other, be it accidentally or on purpose. Something that could cause more harm than good. Wounds, either mental or emotional, should be slowly and lovingly handled one by one. Bringing up too many at once, and without help, is something not very advisable. Therefore, a stable union can only occur when both twins are capable of handling their own healing process in healthy ways. When both can communicate truthfully and are willing to dive deep into everything their conscious mind locked away from its awareness. This is why the twin flame journey is known for unconditional love, because it leads us towards healing every single emotional wound from our past, including past lives. This is also why divine timing is at hand. Both spiritual guidance teams for each twin will know when they are truly ready and willing for the challenge. On a side note, actions such as ghosting, breadcrumbing, or false promises, among others, are issues plaguing the collective. Therefore, many twins will go through with it to learn, outgrow it, and then teach better ways. This, however, does not excuse such choices. Very much the opposite. Letting things like this slide just because it was done by a twin, it's very much the opposite of truthful communication. Maintaining very solid boundaries and applying heartful honesty are better courses of action towards building a genuine relationship. Also, lying to a twin is not particularly effective, as they are tuned to our energy. They can tell if we are angry, sad, happy, or disappointed, sometimes even at a distance. Which is why it might be better to act and speak in alignment with how we actually feel, which takes training. As we grew, we developed discernment. There are indeed plenty of people that do not deserve to know how we feel, situations where silence is a better option. But in the end, honesty leads to better results with our twin and other soulmates, people that have earned and deserve our trust. Why do I feel my twin's energy, their ups and downs? There is also a very deep energetic bond, no different than with actual twin siblings. It's always there, even during childhood, but at that point we will just believe that their energy is our own. After meeting them, we usually start to learn how to distinguish our energy from theirs, and other people as well. It's very common for this to be one-sided at first, with one receiving the other's negative energy, transmuting it, and sending it back with a raised positive energy. At some point, it might be a wise decision to consciously focus on filling our own cup as a priority. Otherwise, they won't learn to do it themselves and won't develop their own divine feminine energy. It's far, far better when both twins have their cups filled and can energetically help each other during hard times, be it in union or in separation. What does fill my own cup mean? How can I do it? The term filling our own cup is a metaphor for our healing journey. The cracks in the glass are a reference for our emotional wounds and mental fragmentation. If we don't heal them, the water will always be leaking. And it's not advisable to focus on helping others or desiring being with our twin while our own water, our vibration, is still scarce and low. The healing journey never really ends. Even when we heal most of our wounds, there are still wounds from past incarnations, plus cultural wounds from the entire collective. However, when we heal most of our own cracks in the glass, it begins to fill and overflow, which means we can now maintain a very high vibration throughout most of the day, every day. It's at this point that we can focus towards helping others do the same process, even if everyone will have a different journey. From a divine masculine perspective, healing is external. The term most commonly used is leveling up in life. It's having financial stability, a good reputation, an honorable vocation, a great physical appearance, a well-developed charisma, education, or being well-traveled, all depending on the person's goals and personality. The point is that this is an external perspective. The divine feminine, on the other hand, has an internal point of view towards healing. It's all about taking good care of ourselves, mentally, physically, and spiritually. It's having a clean and quiet mental space, eating healthy food, spending time in nature and in meditation, balancing the energy flowing through all chakras, doing shadow work on our wounds and fragments, as well as taking care of one's mental health, body, and spiritual growth. To fill our cup, both are necessary. In fact, it's very hard to succeed at one while ignoring the other. Both need to walk hand in hand, as they are equally important. However, it is perfectly normal for the masculine twin to be more tuned to external growth, while the feminine holds an inward focus. Why can't I wake up my twin? A spiritual awakening is a very special event in someone's life. Nobody can force or stop one, they happen in divine timing. We also usually have more than one, but we associate this term to the one that included what is known as the dark night of the soul. Sometimes we need to dive deep into the darkness in order to jump high into the light. Pressure is needed to create diamonds. Often one twin energetically holds the other from falling down, without realizing they are accidentally not allowing them to become the diamond they want them to be. When we think back, we'll likely remember phases in our life that were essential to be who we are today. But had we been awakened at the time, we simply would have avoided those situations. The universe knows what it's doing, and trust that they'll wake up when it's time. Neville Goddard teaches that the way to create anything we desire is simply to assume the feeling of our wish fulfilled. To change anything in our life, we must change the beliefs and assumptions we hold about it. This is called the law of assumption. Therefore, consider choosing to believe that the universe and their guidance team has your twins back, and that they will eventually turn into the diamond you know they are deep inside. Meanwhile, let's let go, leave them be, and focus on our own path ahead. Do I really need some sort of purpose to be a twin flame? Well, yes. In a way, a soul contract is similar to a job contract, although we always have the free will to quit. However, when this happens, which is very normal, it usually means we are actually lost and away from our true path. Sometimes our ego insists our goal is one thing when it's actually something completely different. One of the biggest meanings of life, existence itself, is to desire something and the adventure to get there. This is pretty much the essence of the divine masculine energy. Our soul's calling is something we deeply desire, along with the adventure it creates. In fact, the journey is way better than just the end result. That's just a cherry on top. The ego will actually point in the opposite direction. It will only agree with our soul's desire until we give it no other option. At that point, the ego will have no choice but to align itself with our path in order to survive. Our soul's path was tailor-made for us, by us. What we all share in common is that it's ideally done with both divine energies balanced, doing and being, taking action and enjoying the present moment, cherishing each moment of the journey. As for the path itself, it's unique for each of us. We often associate the words mission or purpose with something in the spotlight, very trailblazing and mind-opener. And it might be for some, but most definitely not for all. For many, it can be something very humble, like being a pillar of support for the community where they live. The possibilities are literally endless. How can I know what my soul's calling is? A purpose, or a soul's calling, is a mix of what we love doing, what we are good at, what earns us income, and what the world needs. But let's never forget how much just being is equally important. It's fun to find ways to balance both being and doing. The movie Soul is good at explaining this. I wish I could simply answer, follow your passion. But But I know that suggestion sometimes does more harm than good. We might unconsciously associate passion with staying in our comfort zone or doing what feels easy. Another thing we all have in common is that the soul's calling lies within our growth zone, past the fear and learning zones. Our calling is more like something we may believe to be impossible, but we want to make it possible. It scares us and causes several insecurities, but we really want it. It's something challenging, but it brings a spark to our soul when we learn it. We do need to follow our bliss, but it might not be something comfortable at first. So please consider avoiding using the ego as a tool to discover what your soul's calling might be. It's especially tricky when the ego has attached itself to a story we crafted for ourselves that actually sounds positive, spiritual, and humanitarian, also known as the spiritual ego. Let's imagine a woman that dedicated most of her life to building an animal shelter, spending most of her time cleaning and taking care of the animals daily. Don't get me wrong, it's with no doubt something wonderful. But what if a big part of her soul's calling was actually to discover and explore her Venus, the planet of pleasure, femininity, and sensuality? Venus is in detriment in Virgo, which is all about being humble and of service. It even rules caring for small pets. But there is actually absolutely no reason as to why she couldn't merge both. In fact, Venus is a planet of connection. Imagine she makes one friend that starts giving her a helping hand. Then 2, 3 friends. Now the 4 of them consider a volunteering project for children and teens, which not only educates the youth, but allows many more pet adoptions. And now, with most of the chores taken from her hands, she can enjoy her free time and explore new sides of herself. But the ego will not tell her this. It would no doubt grind her mind to make her feel that Venus is shallow, useless. She might even be judgmental of people with the Venusian archetype, even if deep down she really yearns to explore it. And that's why astrology, numerology, and tarot are tools that can help our logical mind realize what our calling is. But it can most definitely be done simply by listening to what the heart has to say. Seriously, it might sound cliche, but the heart chakra is a lot wiser than we often give it credit for. Our spiritual team will also be trying to align us with our spark our entire lives. So trust me when I say it won't be something we never considered. No, it will be something we secretly wanted, but we may have been led to believe it wasn't for us, or that we could never do it. Maybe it was even forbidden by those around us. However, let's remember we have free will, which includes changing our journey and selecting a new destination. Our calling usually includes a broad range of alternatives, not something limiting and very specific. Also, never underestimate the power of asking for help from your higher self, spirit team, or even from the archangels. Everyone wants us to succeed. They are more than willing to help us see the path ahead more clearly, along with providing assistance along the way. Please never feel alone. We are all here to bring you guidance and cheer you on your journey. I truly do hope you enjoyed this video. I'm very grateful for your time and attention. Thank you so much. Bye. See you soon.